Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. In this video, I'll be creating a double-page layout featuring Stampin' Up's Weekend Adventures Scrapbooking Workshop Kit and the Light and Wonder dies. I'm also going to be digging into some other tools, and everything I use will be listed below along with my link to Stampin' Up. In addition to this, I'm going to be talking about how I get started when I have absolutely no mojo. So without further ado, let's get started. Here is the Weekend Adventures Scrapbooking Workshop. It is in the 2025-2026 annual catalog. That is the guide with instructions on how to create 3 double-page spreads. In addition to that, you have all the pattern paper, solid paper, you have some ephemera pieces, that's what I'm showing you right now, and there is a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. I'm going to be bringing in these tools as well, and I'll talk about those later on in the process. What I want to do right now is select the material for today's project. So I am selecting the paper here. I have that tree paper. At this point, I'm pulling in both, but I end up only using one. I have a dark wood grain, a light wood grain, a blue speckled paper, and I'm also going to grab the Old Olive and Misty Moonlight, two-tone cardstock. So the rest of it I'm going to put to the side. The only other paper I bring in addition to what the workshop includes, is Smokey Slate two-tone cardstock. Just a piece of it. I'm going to be using that for some die cutting later on. I have 5 photos of me with 2 friends on a hike, and you can see I've already matted them, and I matted them in that wood grain paper there. There were 2 of them in this workshop kit. Usually I don't mat my photos this far in advance, but I took a leap of faith and I'm doing it, so hopefully I like it later on. Now I'm showing you my inspiration. Again, I had absolutely no mojo when I started this project, so I am showing you I am using an image in the September-December 2025 mini catalog as my inspiration. It's actually an example of a layout for a Christmas scrapbooking workshop, but I am using a different one. But that is right up my alley. I like how both background papers are contrasting. I like the simple grid lines. I have 2 large landscape photos, so that's going to work. For the photos on the left page, I do not have small photos. I have 3 horizontal, 3.5 by 5, but I'm going to use it as inspiration anyway, and you're going to see that throughout this process. So as you can see, I did cut up some paper. The green paper and the blue are going to be my foundation page, and now you can see I cut myself a block in that light wood grain paper, and I also have a wide band for the left-hand page in addition to 2 narrow strips, and that's going to house my row of photos. So just having a look at my inspiration, you can see how it's different, but you can see how I'm getting my inspiration from it. Where it's really different is on the left-hand page because I don't have the same photos. I just showed you that I inked up those pieces of paper with Smokey Slate ink, so I did that off camera. And what I've done here is I adhered that block to the right-hand side, right in the middle, and I adhered that band of 3 papers together for the left page along with the 3 photos, but it's separate right now. Also, the photos for the right-hand page are loose because I'm going to want to play around with my embellishing. Now I'm getting out the Light and Wonder dies, and I'm showing you how incredibly cool they are. They are basically a bunch of border dies for mountains and trees. They are absolutely beautiful. So I have my die cutting machine out. I have some Old Olive two-tone cardstock, and I'm going to be cutting out this row of trees. They are really, really detailed. And by the way, this die set is in the September-December 2025 mini catalog. So you can see I'm positioning that die right at the edge of this 12-inch strip of Old Olive two-tone cardstock. It is incredibly detailed, and of course some of the little pieces stayed in the die, so you're going to see my very sophisticated way of removing the little pieces by banging it on the table. Now what I'm doing is I'm simply going to line up this die where the cut edge ended, and I'm going to do the very same thing. I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine, and you're going to see I have this absolutely gorgeous border of trees, very, very detailed. I am so incredibly thrilled with this die set. I just take my scissors. There's a little bit at the end that I had to snip, but no big deal at all. And then I will show you this beautiful detailed border of trees. Now, I'm not going to make you watch all of it, but you're going to see I cut out another row of trees and 2 mountain ranges with some other dies from this Light and Wonder collection. So here you go. You can see I have 4 borders, and for both of them I used both sides of two-tone cardstock. For the gray, it is Smokey Slate. So now what I'm going to do is place these borders on my foundation page. So again, I am kind of following that page that's in the catalog, but I am switching it up here. You can see I am just layering up these die cut borders. I absolutely love it. And now what I'm going to do is place that other photo on the bottom, kind of overlapping the border. I really totally love how this looks. Now I'm showing you the sketch. There is like a shelf towards the bottom of the page underneath the bottom photo. I switched it up, and indeed it was the tools that I had, that die set that I was dying to use, that inspired me. As you can see, what I did off camera was I adhered those photos on the right page, and I adhered that border. Now I am showing you my embellishments. The photos and the border on the left page, by the way, are still loose. So now I am showing you all of the ephemera pieces, all in those little layering trays. And basically that came in the workshop kit in 2 punch out sheets. That's what I'm showing you right now. That's how they arrived. I just punched them out, and I'm going to store them in a little envelope. For me, it's just easier that way when I create. I also have a 12 by 12 sticker sheet that was in the workshop kit. I already had this sticker sheet because this Weekend Adventures collection is sold in different formats, and I had already bought a paper pack with stickers that I used up, and I still had some stickers left. As you can see, here's my title, and it's absolutely huge. It is Our Hike. And this I die cut with dies from Stampin' Up called the Party Alphabet dies. I used that wood grain paper. That's what I had left over from that sheet of paper that I matted my photos with. And I basically backed that paper in these adhesive sheets. It's a Stampin' Up product that turned my paper into an adhesive paper. So now I have adhesive alphas. I am just showing you the alpha set. It comes in this giant packaging here, and that is the size of the alphas. This is a product in the 2025-2026 annual catalog, and these alphas measure 2¼ inches high. So in addition to this, I have a tag here. I actually cut that out with a scrap of that blue speckled paper, and I used a Tim Holtz die for that. I did do my journaling on the computer, and I printed it up. I will be putting it on a tag later on in the process. And I did do some die cutting with another die set called Scenic Adventure. So I'm showing you that I have the stamps and dies. I just use the dies, and I'm showing you these little trees. So there's groupings of 2, and then there's tiny small ones there. Once again, I used that old olive two-tone cardstock to give me 2 colors. That was a die set that was in the July online release, I think. It complements really well this Light and Wonder die set. Anyway, as you can see, I am planning to put my title on the left page. Not quite sure exactly where, but they are huge, and I have room on my left page. That's why it's going there. But what I'm going to do right now is just concentrate on the right page, because I'm considering this my focal point page, and the page on the left is just going to be a simple complementary page. And when I work like that, I work on the focal point page first. You can see I tucked 2 tags behind the photo. Basically what I'm doing here is creating one big cluster, starting with the journaling because that's very important, and I'm layering up the larger pieces. What I just tucked under there is a big sticker that says nature rules, something like that, and a bunch of words. Even though some of the words are hidden, that's okay. I get the idea. I'm using it as a layering piece. Now I'm working my way down and I am building with smaller pieces. So I started with the large tags, that large sticker, which by the way, I powdered it up behind with that it's like a powder tool that you use for embossing. It takes the stick away, and I did that behind that sticker because I wanted to play around with positioning a bit. Then I played around with some embellishments, some ephemera pieces towards the bottom, and as you can see, I have moved ahead to adhering. So once again, starting with the larger pieces with that large sticker there, nature rules, coming in with my tags there. One of them you can see I layered up with my journaling. Now I'm coming in with some smaller bits there. I have a compass, an arrow, another blue wordy bit. All those three pieces are all from the ephemera pack from that Weekend Adventures scrapbooking kit. For two of them, I am popping up on foam adhesive, that blue wordy bit along with that arrow, but you're going to see in a minute, I completely forgot about those little tiny trees that I die cut from the Scenic Adventures kit, and I really want to incorporate them. So I am going to be pulling these off, and I end up ripping my paper a bit, but no big deal. I can cover that up with embellishments as I go. So as you can see, I added in a few of those trees, and that's just kind of extending my embellishment cluster, and I kind of like that. So I put the trees there in two different colors. Again, I do love that two-tone cardstock. It's so convenient when die cutting, especially for leaves and trees and flowers and stuff like that. Now I came in with my compass, then that blue wordy bit, and then the arrow. And again, that blue wordy bit and the arrow are popped up with foam adhesive. I will be coming back here to do some finishing touches, but at this point I am happy with that one big cluster on my focal point page. Now I'm going to work on the complementary page, the left page. At this point I'm just trying to decide where I want to place my row of photos, and I was just playing around with the title. So I decide I want the row of photos to be kind of off center, so they are a little bit more towards the middle of the layout, towards the right hand side. So now I'm adhering that row of photos, and then what I will do is adhere that large title just along the side, along the right side, I'm sorry, along the left side of this. So again, these alphas are adhesive. When I die cut them, I back them in those adhesive sheets from Stampin' Up, and now I have adhesive alphas. When I want to create a border title like this, I am starting on one end, and this end I'm starting at the bottom of the page, but then what I'm going to do is jump to the complete opposite, and then I'm going to kind of work my way towards the middle of the page, and that way I end up with spacing that pleases me, or at least I think it does. You're going to see I do make a little bit of an error, and I have to fix it up a little bit later on. I like how it's positioned, but I do find that their space in between hour and hike is a little bit too big for my liking, but I will address that later on. When I am creating a complementary page like this, I like to keep it simple. For me, the page on the right is kind of overboard. I like it, but I don't want two overboard pages. So as you can see, I'm creating a cluster with some trees just along the bottom of that top photo. And I'm going to do the same thing just above the photo at the bottom. It's quite subtle, but there is a repetition of the trees that are on the opposite page. I would like to add a little bit of color in those clusters. So I have like it's like a file tab in blue. That is an ephemera piece. And I also have another file tab that's in wood grain that I put at the bottom. Then I was looking for some wordy bits, and I ended up finding two there. One at the top, it's kind of a dark green. It says unwind, I think. And then there's another one at the bottom, and I can't read it on the screen, but it's something like outdoor hike or outdoor walk, something like that. But what I'm doing here is adding a little bit of color into each one of those clusters, but they are very, very subtle, and that is definitely what I am going for. Now at this point, I do have to add something to the middle of that title because it is bothering me. I find this, it's almost like a compass slash star or something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's working for me. So I stick it in the middle. It's still subtle enough, but it fills in that space. And now I want to finish off my tag. So I have some twine. This is actually a neutral twine pack from Stampin' Up. So I find one of them there and I'm happy with that. I'm also looking at some little adhesive dots. I have a couple different ones. I'm not quite sure which one I'm using. It's like there's like an embossed image on top of it and it's bronzy, and I will list it below. It's actually quite beautiful. I put it in the middle of that little star there between the title and 2 on Nature Rules on the right page. Now you can see I have the catalog back out and I'm just having a look at my layout. There's one thing I forgot on my focal point page. If you look at the catalog, there's a little bit of green at the top and bottom of the photos, kind of the same green that's in the background paper on the left page. I cut myself 2 strips, but you know what? I don't like it. And if you look at my inspiration piece, there was a lot less embellishing. I kind of went overboard with that border of trees in the middle, and I find those 2 strips at the top and at the bottom kind of take away from it. So what I'm going to do is just leave it. So basically that is it. Here's my finished layout, and I am quite thrilled and quite surprised how quickly this came together, given my total lack of mojo when I started this project. So let me do just a little recap here. Number one, when I create a project, I need a story. So in this case, I grabbed some photos and I grabbed some material that coordinated that I loved. That being said, I still had 0 mojo, 0 inspiration for a design. So in this case, I simply looked at the catalog, which is full of inspiration. Almost right off the bat, I fell upon this layout, which really inspired me. It fits my style, it's super simple, so I simply ran with it. I have different size photos, of course, and as you can see, I went my own way when it came to embellishing, but that inspiration in the catalog is what got me going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Scrapbooking Cutback, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. As I mentioned in the intro, everything I used is listed below along with my link to Stampin' Up. If you live in Canada and use the link, I will get a commission. Please know that I appreciate your support more than words could possibly describe. Have a great day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.